It is actually insane to me how here in America it has become more popular to label yourself as a quote unquote communist or a socialist than to call yourself a capitalist. Like me saying that I am pro capitalism, I am pro free market capitalism, I am a capitalist is basically like saying I am the little mustache man. It's like saying that, I did the unthinkable to your grandmama. Not that unthinkable, but like it's as if I told you that I kicked a puppy. Okay? Me calling myself a capitalist has become a negative connotation, and this shows just how deep the conditioning goes, how deep the brainwashing has gone in the Western world, where we fear the very thing that has allowed us to live in this society, the one with all of these technological phenomenons. I'm talking about the toilet bowl. The toilet is a phenomenon. People were doo-dooing in holes, folks. And so to find ourselves in a place where we're now having to defend capitalism, even teach the basics of economics, it's okay. I love to do it. It is my passion to talk about these things, but it is still as sad as my heart. It is still lightweight depressing to think to myself that there is a generation who is so wrapped up in the Bernie Sanderizing of society that they genuinely believe that going out there and being productive is a negative thing. Huh? I mean, look, I don't know what y'all are on, but it's like, what else are you going to do with your life if not to find your purpose, to give yourself over to your purpose, to build something that you're going to give to the rest of the world, to express the thing that makes you the most fulfilled and to give that to the world. Maybe even if you're on the way to that place, maybe you're doing things that you don't want to do right now, but you're moving towards the things that you do want to do. Why not live your life in purpose and on purpose, but instead move through life just going along to get along and hoping that one day you hit the lottery? Why not create your own lottery? You know what I mean? And some people may think, well, that's greedy. I don't need too much. I don't care about money. Yes, you do, because you wake up every single morning, get out of bed at a time that you don't want to get up, to go to a place that you absolutely despise, around people that you do not like. You pretend, you sell yourself out, right? For that measly little check. You pretend to be somebody that you're not. You put on a big old grin and a smile to make sure that you get your paycheck at the end of them 2 weeks or at the end of the month. And to that, I say that is a love for money. Whereas you could live a life of purpose, the one God intended you for, where money is going to find you and follow you. I know it sounds crazy, batshit crazy damn near, but it's been my experience. God honest truth. I chased money for most of my life up to this point, and I finally said, I'm going to chase my purpose. I'm going to chase my calling. What am I here for? What do I do best? And what can I give the world that I am meant to give the world, right? Not trying to be anybody else. How can I be me at 150% and give that to the world? What am I Michael Jordan in? And so I found my gifting. I dedicated myself to my gifting. I give that over, and I've been making more money. In the last 4 to 5 months, I've made more money than I made in years combined. That's the God honest truth. And back then I was chasing the bag. Waking up at times I didn't want to wake up, being a place I didn't want to be. Even though I started my own marketing business, I was doing a business I didn't want to do, but I felt this was the only way that I could get to that financial goal, right? That's what it is to be a part of this free market. When you become a part of a collective who is contributing to one another, an ecosystem where everybody is placed within their own purpose, and we are like the perfect little cogs in a perfect little machine, as opposed to being a misplaced cog, because we're going to be one anyway. We're in an ecosystem. We're all in this together, right? How did my tea get here? There was about 50 people who were necessary to get me this tea, if not 500 people. It was not just the one manufacturer. It's the one who made this little stem. It's the one who made the little bag right there. It's the one who made this paper right here. The printing company that did this right here. The individual who did the graphic design for this had to get paid. The person with the tea, don't get me started on the tea, right? Transportation of the tea actually making its way to the factory where it was going to be manufactured. Then the hands that touched the tea, the ones who actually raised up those tea leaves. This is an ecosystem. This is free market capitalism. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Are you going to have sometimes bad agents? Most definitely. But it is the best system I've seen thus far. And I would rather have a little bit of greed than have a whole lot of envy and jealousy, which is what comes from the opposite, what comes from that communistic, socialist environment. It is rooted in I want what you have. Let me tear you down so you come to my level, or let me take what you have. Uh-oh. Bernie. I digress. Let me not go on this man. But today we're going to, technically we're still going to get in on this anyway, because he is literally the first scene of this video we're about to get into. But we're about to get into this video by one of my good buddies digitally. I've not met the man in person, but I'm sure we will have a great sit down at some point. John Stossel. He does the type of videos I wish I had been exposed to when I was still in school. So this video is essentially breaking down, well, we'll get into it, and it will explain itself, and I'll give my 2 cents. So if you guys want to watch the video by itself, I will link it below, so you can click that link if you want to watch it by itself without me. But if you want to engage with it with me, then let's get into it. Get yourself a water or something to sip on that is not an alcoholic beverage or some sort of adrenal-killing substance, and let's get into it.
Corporate America, stop the greed.
Democrats and Republicans criticize corporate greed.
You're trying to squeeze every
By the way, I think Bernie Sanders intentionally does not comb his hair so he looks more "quote unquote" relatable to Einstein.
piece of profit you can out of this country, this company.
They say this corporate greed kills good things.
Family, religion, friendship. These are the 3 demons you must slay if you wish to succeed in business.
No, says Yaron Brook.
The only way you can make money in business is by providing customers with a value.
Brook heads the Ayn Rand Institute. Rand's popular book suggests self-interest is a good thing.
The biggest problem we have in our culture is this perception, when you pursue your own self-interest, that you are somehow a villain.
The opposite's true, he says. Entrepreneurs are actually heroes because the only way they can make money is
by making the lives of other people better.
We are calling it.
Blows my mind how deeply conditioned we have been by even film, etc. Like, you just get into superhero movies. It's almost always this plot line. Evil, rich, multi-billionaire, multi-millionaire villain versus, kind of impoverished hero. It is almost always that. Even Superman's story is exactly that, right? Lex is a multi-billionaire, and Clark Kent would otherwise be a king on his planet, or at least a prince, is now brought down to, quote unquote, humble beginnings on a farm, Smallville style. And there's nothing wrong with that story. It's just the fact that there's always a villainizing of wealth. And I would think to myself, if I wanted a population who I could easily control, the first belief I would have them believe is that money is evil, or wealth and having resources is evil. That's how it would keep them away from getting the thing that I have. That's why I look at Bernie crazy, because I say to myself, wait a minute. Now, everybody else is supposed to give away their millions and billions of dollars, but yet you get to still be a multimillionaire off the backbones of actual people's work, right? You never started a business, Bernie. You were a lifelong politician, and the likes of Bernie. Bernie is a symbol for me right now. Yes, I have a gripe towards the man himself because I hate the grift. It is a disempowering grift, and I cannot stand it. But you are a lifelong politician who has made money off of our little money, right? That's the difference between a lifelong politician and at least a business person. And mind you, a business person who is genuinely corrupt is oftentimes, more often than not, going to be weeded out of the system, right? Especially if they're engaging with you and I. If they're selling us products, if they sell us a product that is bunk, that does not work, they scam us, they're going to lose their business. You should see how many businesses close down because of things like Yelp, right? Online reviews, word of mouth reviews. If a place, a organization, a service provider has a subpar product or service, they will likely go out of business. Now, sometimes it is the best marketed product that gets into the hands of the people, that is seen. And so sometimes, yes, it is not the best product, it's the best marketed. But even with the best marketing, if you don't have that substance, forget about it. That's why I don't do clickbait. I will never stoop to clickbait. Because if I get your attention, but the goods ain't there, then I deceived you, I lied to you, I scammed you in essence. Now, there was a time when I posted the wrong video with the wrong thumbnail. I needed to be more cautious and I needed to be more detail oriented when it came to that. That was a fix on my side, right? But I'm not going to try to dupe you. You know, there was a chick who was making the pink sauce on TikTok. Not that pink sauce, right? She was making some sort of like pink ketchup, whatever the hell it was. And she kept selling it, pushing it, and people were trying to believe in her. They're trying to buy into it. They were putting money in her pocket, but her product was subpar. Her product was actually bunk. People would get shipments and it would spoil. It gone bad. People couldn't trust the product. It was making people sick. She was erased from the marketplace. Ben Bernanke was finessing people for decades. At a certain point, he was completely obliterated by the marketplace to a point where his own children didn't even want his ashes because they were so embarrassed with what he did to the family name. Yes, there are those who are corrupt and crooked within, our free market. Of course there are. But there are even more of those people who are simply looking to do good business or the best business possible. The ones who get that produce onto your table, what it took to get that produce onto your table was a multitude of entrepreneurs who then hired individuals to get a job done, creating employment, creating security for employees. If we bastardize that, then we have to be realistic and say, okay, well, who's going to create the jobs? Okay, government creates the jobs. Who pays for government jobs? Oh, the taxpayer. Oh, so that means we're still going to have to, yes. And the less of that there is, the more impoverished the society is. The more impoverished society is, you then regress into a state of poverty. Disincentivize the capitalist, the pure free market capitalist. I'm not talking about the crony capitalist, the one who wants to do backdoor deals, the Soros of the world. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the one who wants to build a product, the best product possible, market it the best they can, right? Yeah, iterate on it, get the best version out they can, and to compete in the marketplace. Simple as that. I want those individuals in my society, not the politicians who are raving and ranting about the evil billionaires are taking all your money. Last time I checked, they were the biggest employers in the country. The multimillionaires, billionaires, whoever it may be. Small to medium-sized companies employ a majority of the population. Last time I checked. Government jobs are because of the taxpayer dollar. Last time I checked, more than 41% of our taxes are paid for by 1%. Last time I checked. Oh, you're glazing the wealthy. No, I'm looking to become one of the wealthy class in order for me to be able to do more, not just for myself, but those around me. That's how that works. As opposed to being a hater, I'm taking notes. That's how that works.
iPhone.
Governments sometimes build things, but when they do it badly. 17 years after California promised this high-speed rail, no actual train exists. Yet the cost keeps going up.
The cost of California's long-delayed high-speed rail system has skyrocketed once again.
By contrast, in Florida, in much less time, a selfish, privately owned, profit-seeking corporation built trains that carry commuters and tourists without billing taxpayers. The private sector routinely builds things that get cheaper and better. That's why the price of things like cameras, computers, and TVs has dropped, even as quality improved. Why? Why would greedy people looking to make more money end up lowering prices? Because they have to. Unlike government, they have competition. And those greedy competitors want your money too. So they all have to lower prices. Rand was a philosopher who understood that entrepreneurs pursuing profit create wealth for others. Her book, Atlas Shrugged, sold 10 million copies. In this movie,
And outside of politicians, I've never been robbed by somebody who was genuinely wealthy. Not once did I park my car in Los Gatos Hills or Saratoga or something like that, Malibu. Not once did I park my car and have my radio jacked or some taken from me, or that didn't happen in one time. But it has happened in places that were more impoverished, right? So again, this idea of, well, there are all these criminals, right? Money is the root of all evil. That's a lie. That's not even a correct quote. It is the love of money. And I'd argue to say that the lack of money is oftentimes the root of a whole lot of evil. Not having some money can lead some individuals into very dark places. And then they start to steal. Then they start to, lead from corruption. And there are those who do have an impoverished spirit, even though they got some money in their pocket. Again, let's not get it twisted. There is many psychos who have that, have money that do not have money. It's probably equal. It's just the ways and the means in which they finesse the public or finesse the people around them, whatever it may be. But again, it's like we have to do a purifying, a cleansing of our palates and our minds, because I believe that good people like yourself should be the ones who are looking to create wealth, who are looking to acquire resources and do certain things. Money is a magnifier of who you are. You're going to continue to do more of exactly what you do the more money you get. I've seen myself in real time. When I started getting money, I didn't get more chains, more jewels, more this, more that. Oh, now that I have enough money for things that I never had the money for before, I'm not all of a sudden switching up and doing something crazy. I'm just being more of who I am. I'm trying to, I'm looking at better gear that I can get because I love doing this. I'm looking for different things I can do with the family. How can we create, greater experiences for the people that I love, as well as myself, of course. I'm not this false altruistic, whatever it is, but these are the things that my mind goes to. And, I envision once I have this amount of money, I want to build out a studio of my own where we can create the best quality content. At a certain point, I want to be able to produce films, television, movies, etc. Like that's where I'm locked in right now. That's where I want to put my resources into. That's what I want to build. And when you look at, most of the most successful for the longest period of time, they've always looked to build. Tyler Perry, me and my girl were just looking at his tour of his studio. This is a man who started doing plays to small groups of people, right, that he had wrote, produced, etc. Now he owns the largest studio, at least in Northern America. I wouldn't doubt if it's in the world. It's 300 acres or something of that nature. All of it is used to create film, television, etc. And he's still doing exactly what he loves, but that's what he as a billionaire is investing into. He's investing into creating this world, hiring thousands, if not tens of thousands of individuals to work within these spaces. Be writers, producers, to grips, to to assistants and everything in between, right? That is opportunities that are created. That's the sort of mentality I want as many people to be in as possible, as opposed to being in this envious spirit. Because there's a lot of envy when it comes to money. There's a lot of dysfunctional relationships when it comes to so much undeservedness, feelings of unworthiness, inadequacy. I believe that if you overcome that feeling of inadequacy, you allow yourself to have money as opposed to money having you.
Version: a government judge attacks a steel entrepreneur's profit.
How does that benefit your fellow man?
Thousands of jobs, billions in revenue, fueling our economy despite your efforts.
This is just true. The world gets richer because entrepreneurs pursue profit. But so many people hate Ayn Rand for celebrating that. Here's John Oliver's show.
Ayn Rand became famous for her philosophy of objectivism, which is a nice way of saying being a selfish.
Being selfish is not the same as being an
Objectivists define selfishness not as
lying, cheating, stealing, backstabbing,
but rather
your rational, long-term self-interest. What is truly good for you, John? What will make my life the best life that it can be? And she is smeared constantly.
And I don't believe any individual who says that they're just purely altruistic. When you're a people pleaser, you're likely the most resentful person you know. You're likely the most bitter, right? These people with this false martyr type of mentality, right? Oh, I care nothing about myself. Take the shirt off my back. Those people become the most resentful. And they're always thinking, why not me? Why not me? Why not me? The most honest is self-preservation, but not trading that for somebody else's, destruction. That's living in survival mode. That's an almost animalistic type of mentality. What I'm talking about is like a self-concern, which is the most natural. Like your entire biological makeup is trying to preserve. It's trying to keep itself alive. That's why you eat, you breathe, you do this, you do that, you procreate, etc., is to continue on your own likeness. We were made in that way. And so it is healthy to do so in healthy ways. That's why we eat the best foods. We move our bodies, right? We get into the things that we resonate with most. We cut out all those toxic elements of our lives. That is quote unquote selfish to a society that has taught us this false idea of altruism, self-sacrifice. That is the Communist Manifesto. You are nothing. Your society is everything. We own you. You are a piece of property that is owned by the state. Now give us everything you have.
Constantly.
Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. I read every last word of this garbage, and because of this piece of I'm never reading again.
And yet her books are popular.
Books are popular, and yet the philosophy itself is smeared because it goes against at least 2,000 years of philosophy that tells us that the purpose of life and morality is to suffer and sacrifice and live for others. And she asks this really simple question. Why? Why shouldn't I live for myself?
Because it's nice. Living for yourself is selfish. It's better to share.
Sharing does make you feel good inside.
We're taught from a young age that collective ownership, sharing, is best.
See? It's not so tough to share your stuff.
We like that. I like that.
Yeah, sharing sounds fantastic. It sounds nice. But the reality is that what makes the world move, what actually makes the world progress and makes our lives better, is trading.
$5,000 is a deal. Fair enough. Okay, thank you.
Creating relationships of win-win.
You're saying the kids shouldn't share in the sandbox?
We should teach our kids to think about, what am I getting for this? But just inculcating this idea of guilt into the kid, that is maybe why we live in a world where socialism is still viewed as morally noble and beautiful, and capitalism is evil and bad.
Under socialism, political leaders decide what's good for us. Under capitalism, individuals decide. So even the greediest capitalist must offer us choices, because no transaction happens unless it's win-win. It's why when we buy something, there's this peculiar double thank you moment.
Thank you. Thank you.
Why did we both say thank you? Because I wanted the pretzel more than my dollar. He wants my dollar more than the pretzel. If it's not win-win like that, people won't buy. This pursuit of profit even fights racial discrimination.
Segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever.
It was government that enforced Jim Crow laws. Private bus companies looking to make money opposed them, even sued to desegregate. As economist Thomas Sowell put it,
only whites could vote, but whites and blacks could both supply money.
There's an enormous profit motive in you being the one that allows everybody into your restaurant. You're going to get a much larger clientele.
Some people would still be racist.
Some people would be racist.
But
they would suffer the consequence of the fact that they were racist.
They'd lose customers.
In a true marketplace, discrimination can exist, but it doesn't exist for very long.
Ayn Rand said, selfishness is even what makes us love our families.
I love my wife for self-interested reasons. So imagine going to the woman you're going to marry the night before and saying, I'm not doing this for me. This is a massive sacrifice. She would slap you in the face, as she should.
It's a difference between I need you and I want you. And some people think they want to be needed. That is a toxic relationship, folks. We can get into that in a whole nother video. If you are in a relationship because you feel you need this person, you can't live without them. It sounds sweet on paper, but the reality is you're going to be clingy to that person. You're going to drain the life out of that individual. But the honest point, at least what I've found, is the best relationship I've ever had, right? The reason why I have the relationship I have with my fiance, a beautiful relationship, is because I know and she knows we don't need one another, but we want to be with one another. Right? We enjoy one another's company. You edify my life. I edify your life. You make life, that much sweeter. You bring a richness to the experience. Even though my life is already full, you bring even more to that experience. You add, right? In the same way, me trading that dollar and you give me something, I believe this is going to enhance, it's going to edify my life in some sort of way. And again, it's even for me, it took years to re-engineer all that damn programming of, it is evil to have that trade going on. And it is altruistic, almost godly to do the opposite, right? That's the idea, to sacrifice everything for everybody else, when in reality, it just makes you more resentful towards everybody else. Instead, when you're doing good for good's sake, you don't give the money because you feel guilty, right? You see that man on the side of the street or whatever it is, you give because you feel a surplus. You give because you have the desire to, as opposed to you must. Instead of, as a kid, you have to share your toy, but I want to play with the toy. I really want to play with this toy. And when I actually genuinely want to, I will give from the goodness of my heart. It's almost saying like humans don't have a natural goodness to where it will be fulfilling for myself to do something for another anyways. And also even this conversation of nonprofits, charities. Charities do not exist without a capitalistic system. They don't exist without capital. They don't move without the money. If you don't have individuals who are moving money, you don't have money to move into a nonprofit. That's just how it works. So people think, oh, what an altruistic humanitarian cause this is. Amazon is terrible, even though we all use it. It's made our lives easier, etc. But the charity is, such an enriching, beautiful thing. Guess what? The charity doesn't exist without Amazon. Or not just that company specifically, but the charity doesn't exist without money flowing. These are controversial only for the fact that we have been conditioned into such a lie. And it is genuinely unfortunate. But again, I'm going to do everything that I can in my own God-given power to just bring the truth to light.
Pity on me?
No,
You.
Instead of going to and saying, I'm doing this because it's fun to be around you. It brings me joy. Me joy. Love is the most selfish of all emotions.
The virtue of selfishness, as Rand called it, is why world poverty has dropped dramatically. Over the past 50 years, the number of people in the world living on less than $2 a day fell from 35% to just 9%. For most people, life's getting better.
Self-interested motivation makes the world a better place.
We should thank selfish capitalism.
Greed is good.
I probably shouldn't have ended that video with Gordon Gekko saying greed is good, because he goes on to say in the movie, some win, some lose. And as we just reported, under capitalism, that isn't true because it's voluntary. So no transaction happens unless both sides feel they win something. But it's such a good movie moment that we used it anyway. And if you wish to voluntarily help us produce more of these videos, click that button.
I used to be afraid of the dark, place unknown like a heart in their heart. I used to see my life in the bar, now the kids unchained, every shackle is lost. 2 steps in the moonlight, 2 step in the daytime. You just know when it feel right, you got a feeling the time's not. See you through those shades that I just threw on. Through my lenses, you just can't do no wrong. I fell in love with myself again. I fell in love with myself. I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 365, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up, you know them constellations. Constantly gazing like counts of praises, you get to praising. They see your light shine, that's why they so frustrated. Even the sofa in Nova Scotia will win the bagels. I couldn't get them ease on the grease, why they burning up. Money growing trees, feel a breeze, still you show.